Hi everyone, here is my round 2 game for Manchester Congress, and I'd build this as like some kind of must avoid defeat game, because after I had a run of 4 defeats and 2 draws, and I was also playing against a low rated as well, Lee Bowen graded 128 ECF, and I'd played him in my beginning days and lost, but I'd improved since then, so I was probably expecting to win this because 13 points I graded and also had the white pieces. He's also a bit of a hacker, as we are going to see. Another hacker. Or was it with me having to play hackers? But anyway, sat down Saturday morning. Probably had a little sleep as usual. And here we go. I played d4, knight f6, c4. And now I was expecting a King's Indian because he's a bit of a hacker, but I got the Nimzo Indian in fact, an opening which at the time I was playing as black. You know where Black wants to fight over e4, but he's using pieces like he's got a knight already in there. He's also pinning the white knight as well. And in all lines, he'll give the bishop up for a knight, inflicting weak doubled c pawns on white, as we are going to see. I played the speciality of mine at the time, which was the Lenningrad, not to confuse with the Lenningrad Dutch, where white responds with a pin of his own. And after h6, bishop h4. In my later games tournaments, I have to face the main line, which is c5, d5, and d6, followed by e5, blocking the position up and then giving the bishop up. And I'll say more about that variation when we get there. But I got knight c6 this time, which can't be amazing blocking the c pawn, but the engines don't seem to mind it, and at least it's rapid development. Like b6, bishop a6 are going to come, so it can't be that bad. And in some of my lines, I play knight c6 blocking the c pawn, and I've also been experimenting with the Verisov as well, which blocks the c pawn, and having good success with it. So it can't be that bad. It can't be refuted anyway. It's just a bit unorthodox, if you know what I mean. But he was a bit of a hacker. He's wanting to get his pieces out as fast as possible, and then try and hack my king up rather than messing around with pawns. And he won't like the blocked up positions as well that arise from the Leningrad a lot. If he's a hacker, he wants them more tactical and open. So it's a good move for like his style. And anyway, back to the game. I play e3, b6, preparing an extended fianchetto, and after bishop d3, he takes on c3, which might be a little bit suspect because in the Nimzo Indian a lot you wait for a3 before taking, so white's lost the move playing that. But if he doesn't do it now, I was going to play knight e2 and then stop the double pawns, and then black could have no compensation for bishop pair, so it's probably his best. So after bishop takes c3, b takes c3, we see that I've got a bishop pair in quite an open position, but I've got these really weak double pawns and my a pawn's isolated as well. So black's got plenty of counterplay, and now he plays bishop a6. An interesting alternative is e5, after which I would take, because it's better to open the position up with having the bishop pair. And after knight takes e5, I've got this interesting tactical move, bishop e4, taking advantage of the pin on the knight, one of the advantages of moving the bishop to g5. And after rook b8, knight f3, sacrificing the pawn, but after knight takes c4, queen d4, black's got very backward development, and white's got a strong initiative in return for the pawn, and he's also winning the 10 pawn and knight, and white can castle and then try and hack the black king up. There's also dangerous pressure on that knight, so this was quite interesting. So he plays bishop a6. The idea is to put pressure on him c4. He's going to follow up with knight a5. My queen has to come to e2, and it'll be hard to attack us over. My piece is tied down to c4. So after knight f3, getting ready for castling, he plays knight a5, and now he's got 2 pieces on it, so I have to play queen e2 to defend it. But I like this move because it can prepare an e4 advance as well, and then e5. And now he plays another pretty good move with d5. At the time, I thought this was a positional suspect move because I can get rid of my double pawns now, and they'd have no compensation for my bishop pair. But quite a long series of forced moves follow, and I end up actually giving the bishop pair up in return for a strong centre. So it's quite, we're going to see a few forced moves now. Well, mainly forced. Well, first of all, with d5, like I said, he's a hacker, so he's going to be trying to open the centre up while I haven't castled. And this move, he's trying to take advantage of black's. Well, he's got his development's as good as white's. So It's quite good to open the position up. And he also wants to put more pressure on c4, so I practically got a take. And then after bishop takes d3, queen takes d3, queen takes d5 was played. This is the best recapture in my opinion. If e takes d5, and after knight e5, white's got a very strong central outpost for the knight, which stops black's outplaced knight coming into c4. And it's hard to get rid of the knight, and white's got a small advantage here. But queen takes d5 keeps equality, or only a slight advantage, a very small advantage to white. And now I've got a couple of choices here. The first one, which I didn't play, was to castle. Oops. But I didn't like the look of black's knight escaping, like, you know, knight coming into e4. And then but then I can play knight e5, and after knight c6, challenging the knight, f4 with a strong stonewall type centre I've got supporting the knight. Quite like stonewall this now, and I quite like the position, so I'm quite confident here. But when black played queen takes d5 as well, he's like neglected the f6 knight. So if I give the bishop pair back up, I can give him his own double pawns. But in return, black gets a g line for his rook, so it's all double-edged, and I can't come in knight to e5 as well. It was a double-edged move, bishop takes f6. But my main point of it was after bishop takes f6 was to force through e4 with tempo. And then I can play d5 and then try and get black's king. And a very exciting battle lies ahead, like the one on Friday night, but hopefully more in my favour this time. So after g takes f6, like I said, black's assets are his open g file to aim at my king if it castles kingside, which it probably will. He's got a strong centralised queen, and his knight's got potential for the c4 square. But in return, I've got a better pawn structure now all of a sudden, by giving the bishop pair up. And now I've got a strong like Grunfeld type pawn centre, which is mobile as well. And after e4, and also I realised that black's best move in this position was to offer a queen swap with queen c4, but I knew he wouldn't do that. It's not his style. First of all, I think the best is probably to take the queens off, and after knight takes c4, you see his knight's coming to game. Play knight d2 and challenge it, and his best is to take, and then rook g8, and the draw is probably likely, although white, because of his better pawn structure, probably has a slight advantage, but black shouldn't have much of a problem drawing this, and there's plenty of counterplay on the g file to be had. The engine assesses as like almost dead equal. Also interesting was queen e3, just leaving the queen there so the knight's still out of play, but black can always reroute the knight via b7 or c6, so it's not a big deal, but I can always play knight d2 kicking black queen away. But I prefer the first option, because white probably does have the slightly better chances in the long game that arises. And a grandmaster level, that'd like be a draw, but ours there's plenty of scope for both sides to win, but white would be slightly better chances. So after e4 he played the hacking options I expected with queen h5. He's going to play rook g8, and he's also eyeballing the f3 note, so if I castle short, then if I move my queen and he has queen takes f3, winning the piece. And I had a very long think here, and decided to castle, because of course there is a little bit of risk, because the g file aimed right at my king, but I realised worst comes to worst, I'll move the f rook to d1 and then play knight e1, and he's never going to break through on g2. He'd have to like double rooks or something, which takes a few more moves, and his knight's out of play as well, so I realised he couldn't devote enough resources to attacking my king. I also looked at other moves like e5, and after rook g8, castle in, and then but then he might play f5, and I didn't quite like the look of that at the time. My queen can't move because the queen takes f3 for a start, which is one of the annoying things. But anyway, I decided to castle short, and now he played the first bad move of the game from both sides with king e7. I mean, I say he's a hacker, but that's just way too reckless. I mean, he can't really get enough resources into the attack. So, and the centre is really easy to open up. I can go d5 or e5, open it up. I can bring rooks to the d and e lines. My knight's close to his king, the queen are. Everything's like lined up against the centre. I know the queen side looks quite weak as well with like them pawns advanced, but at least his knight's there for protection, and it's hard to actually quite get it, to be honest. It's a lot safer than its centre anyway, because the centre's like the king side's black strong point, the centre's mine, and the queen side's like anyone's. So I'd probably play rook a b1, seizing the semi-open file, and after rook h g8, the best move probably is just to play g3, weakening the light squares but neutralising G-line pressure. And chances are slightly in white's favour, but it's anyone's game this. So that'd be an interesting position to play actually. But he plays a reckless move king e7, and now I decided that I need to open lines up as fast as possible before I get killed on g-file. It's like a time bomb, but well, I was thinking d5 straight away can just be met by e5, and I haven't really got much. Maybe queen b5, but where do I take it from there? That's the question. Anyway, so I played rook fd1. I use the f rook because I want to play maybe knight e1 in some lines, and I've got the rook in the action, because if his g-line pressure gets too strong, I might be forced into that kind of passivity. And my idea is to add some more spice to d5. So after rook a g8, just recklessly carry over his own attack. Remember, my queen can't move now because if queen takes f3. And rather than playing a slow move like moving a king, because then I'll just go rook g7 and rook hg8, I play d5. And you see, the advantage of this move is that I'm trying to get a black's king, but e5 now is a horrific blunder because I've got two pieces on d-line, so I go d6 check, and black's practically busted. If he takes first of all, then it's just a simple mate in two. If king d7, then I take on c7 with check. If he goes king c8, then we have a mate with two queens. And if it goes to king c6, then we have check. If king c5, then queen d5's mate. Oh, oops. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. d6, king d7 takes. And it was like king c6, queen e7. We got a king b7 instead. Then c8 queen's mate as well. So d takes c7, king takes c7 is forced, and then we've got queen d6 check, king moves, and queen takes f6. White is a clear pawn up with a crushing attack, and the pawn on e5 is attacked twice, defending only once, and rook d7 checks coming, the other rook's coming in, and black will be finished off pretty quickly. So e5 is now impossible because of my last move. I've also cleared the d4 square for the knight, and I can infiltrate on c6 and then like take an e6 or something and open the d file up. And I'm threatening d6 check, which has to be stopped. So he plays knight b7, which is the best move. I can't play d6 now. And if I take an e6, and after he takes back queen e7 check, I can just move the king. He gives me the king away something. So he's also got knight c5 coming as well with tempo. Now I've got a queen e2 or queen e3, and then he can double on g-line. And although white is better here, black's not without counterplay, so I have to act fast. I remember I'm on the turbo in a phone, by the way, so confidence is like sky low. So anyway, I played knight d4 coming into that square. And now he could play queen g4 now, threatening mate on g2, which I'd looked at. I could throw in this check, but I don't think it really does that much. I said make his king safer with tempo, so I'd play g3 and block it off. And after knight c5, I'm not tied down to f3 anymore, and I've moved the knight, so I can play queen b5. But he can then take my e4 pawn. I can take an e6, and after f takes e6, rook e1, queen g4, defending e6. And this position is anyone's game. Black is now up a pawn, but white's king is pretty safe. It's hard to get at, apart from maybe black going h5, h4, which he probably would do, knowing him, the hacker. But white's now got strong pressure on e6 and a very strong queen. And white has got enough compensation here, but this position is anyone's game. Both sides will probably fancy the chances. I'd probably maybe rather be white, because I'd prefer having the initiative and being a pawn down than trying to win a pawn up. I mean, not everyone's like Kramnik. Some of us like Topalov. But this is a sharp, unclear position, and I'm sure we'd have both fun playing with it. However, this didn't happen. He makes the absolute worst move on the board, which sends the engines crazy. After knight d4, he plays e takes d5. and the F5 square being permanently weakened ends the game practically straight away and hands me a win after this shocking run of form and a route back into Congress. So I play check, and after King F8, which is forced. Now the fact that my knight is controlling the E7 and G7 squares and his rook's on G8 makes his king almost trapped in like a mating net. So I play Queen takes D5, and if he does nothing and say just threatens mate, then he's mated in 2 moves by check and mate, taking advantage of this octopus knight. So that was my threat. He spotted it and played knight D6, which is like the only move, but now comes a forced win. Just pretty simple. If you want to try and spot it, please stop the video now, but there's no crazy tactics involved. Well, if you thought of knight takes D6 then, which is my original intention in fact, then you're only going to be a pawn up in an endgame, and also a rook endgame, so you'll be able to win this. Well, otherwise we can have a plus like 12 advantage on Houdini. And before he'll have knight F5 check, it was like plus 0.3, now it's like plus 12 in that move. That's how badly weakening the F5 square was. So you just play Queen A8 check, and after knight E8, Rook D8. Now I've got 2 pieces, and there's no way to stop Rook takes E8 mate, apart from giving up the Queen. Or, as in the game, you can try and get a perpetual by sacking the Rook on G2, so he plays that. And after King takes G2, Rook G8 check. I was a little bit worried because my Queen and my E4 pawn's blocking my Queen from like coming back. My Rook's also far away from the action. My Rook's far from action. I've only really got the Knight defending a couple of pawns, but he's only got a Queen and Rook, and I can easily escape the Rook. So as long as I can escape the Queen, I'm fine. And worst comes to worst, even if I had to match my King up to get the Queen to a Rook to blockade, I'd just be a Rook up then. But of course, I can avoid the checks and still have the irresistible threat of Rook takes E8 mate. Houdini gave a force mate in 15 with Rook takes G2 check. Queen takes F5 avoiding mate, but of course that's tantamount to resignation. King F1 check. King E2, I have to be careful. King E1 still actually is a plus 6 advantage, but it does look like Queen takes C3 with check, and then I think he can defend, although still be lost, still be Rook behind. King E2 check. And now there's a couple of ways to get out. King D3, but there's also F3, and after Queen G2 check, King E3, Queen G5 check, King D3. The checks have run out, and the only way to stop mate, well, there isn't really any time to give up the Queen, and then your Queen and Rook behind. And then you also lose a Knight and then that Rook as well. I mean, it's just game over. It's mate in a few moves. So he resigned because checks have run out. And this is actually a really nice game I'm really proud of. And also coming after that run of form, it makes it even more impressive. This is actually one of my proudest games this was at the time. I've got a few more brilliances since, but I really enjoyed this game. And I was off to round 3 later to try and build on this win, which I will do tomorrow, I think. But anyway, please can all you chess cubers out there, please join the Epic Chess Cafe. It's gone a bit dead in the last couple of days after getting like 20 odd people every day. It'd be appreciated if you could all chat there and have fun and discuss videos, and it'd be nice to have something back for all this hard work doing the videos to improve your chess. But anyway, lessons to be learned from this game. Weakening the square with E takes D5, allowing knight F5 check, how fatal that was, and how the knight cut off the king's escape square. And how to launch a crushing attack when the opponent leaves his king vulnerable in the centre, and also castling into G-file attacks, which took me over 20 odd minutes on clock to motivate myself to do. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this hacking game. Only 28 moves as well, so another quick game from this tournament. And please leave any comments and thoughts. Thanks very much.